In the world of international trade, tariffs are essentially taxes imposed on goods imported from other countries. These taxes are collected by the government of the importing country and are designed to make foreign goods more expensive for consumers. By increasing the price of imported products, tariffs aim to make domestically produced goods more appealing and competitive in the marketplace. For example, if a country imposes a 25% tariff on imported cars, the price of those cars will increase by 25% for consumers in the importing country. This price increase is intended to encourage consumers to consider purchasing domestically produced cars instead. Tariffs have been used by governments throughout history as a tool to protect domestic industries, generate revenue, and influence trade balances with other nations. They remain a complex and often contentious issue in international economic relations, with the potential to impact consumers, businesses, and the overall health of the global economy. The use of tariffs can have both positive and negative consequences, and their effectiveness as a trade policy tool is a subject of ongoing debate among economists and policymakers. Proponents of tariffs argue that they can help to protect domestic jobs, boost local industries, and reduce trade deficits. Opponents of tariffs, on the other hand, contend that they can lead to higher prices for consumers, retaliatory measures from trading partners, and distortions in global trade patterns. The decision of whether or not to impose tariffs is a complex one, with far-reaching implications that require careful consideration. President Trump has long been a vocal critic of free trade agreements and has repeatedly expressed his belief that the United States has been taken advantage of in its trade dealings with other countries. In line with this view, his administration has announced a series of new tariffs targeting imports from several key trading partners, including Canada, Mexico, and China. These tariffs represent a significant escalation of Trump's protectionist trade policies and have sent shockwaves through the global economy. The decision to impose tariffs on these countries has been met with a mixture of support and opposition, with businesses and consumers alike bracing for the potential impact on prices, supply chains, and the overall cost of living. One of the most notable aspects of Trump's new tariff regime is the decision to target Canada and Mexico, two of the United States' closest neighbors and trading partners. The tariffs on Canadian and Mexican goods are seen by many as a direct shot at the North American Free Trade Agreement, which Trump has repeatedly threatened to withdraw from. The tariffs on Chinese imports, on the other hand, are widely seen as a continuation of the ongoing trade war between the world's two largest economies. The trade dispute between the United States and China has been simmering for several years, and has already resulted in billions of dollars worth of tariffs being imposed on goods traded between the two countries. Throughout his political career, Donald Trump has consistently championed a protectionist approach to trade, arguing that the United States has been on the losing end of trade deals for far too long. During his 2016 presidential campaign, Trump made trade a central issue, promising to renegotiate existing trade agreements and impose tariffs on goods imported from countries he deemed to be engaging in unfair trade practices. His campaign rhetoric resonated with voters who felt left behind by globalization and who blamed free trade for job losses and factory closures in the United States. Upon taking office, Trump wasted little time in making good on his campaign promises, withdrawing the United States from the Trans-Pacific Partnership Trade Agreement and initiating renegotiations of NAFTA. While Trump's early trade actions focused primarily on broad-based tariffs targeting a wide range of goods, his administration has since shifted towards a more targeted approach, focusing on specific sectors and industries deemed critical to the U.S. economy. This shift in strategy reflects a growing awareness of the potential economic consequences of broad-based tariffs, which can lead to higher prices for consumers, retaliatory tariffs from trading partners, and disruptions to global supply chains. The move towards sector-specific tariffs is seen by some as an attempt to mitigate the negative impacts of Trump's protectionist trade policies while still achieving his stated goal of protecting American jobs and industries. However, critics argue that even targeted tariffs can have unintended consequences, and that the administration's approach to trade remains unpredictable and potentially damaging to the global economy. The new tariffs imposed by the Trump administration target a range of industries deemed to be of strategic importance to the United States. These industries include steel and aluminum, automotive manufacturing, technology, and agriculture. The tariffs on steel and aluminum, for example, are intended to protect American jobs in those industries, which have faced stiff competition from foreign producers, particularly from China. The tariffs on automobiles and auto parts are aimed at boosting domestic car production and reducing the trade deficit in the automotive sector. Meanwhile, the tariffs on technology products from China are part of a broader effort to address concerns about intellectual property theft and forced technology transfer. The agricultural sector has also been caught in the crossfire of the Trump administration's trade disputes, with American farmers facing retaliatory tariffs from China and other countries in response to U.S. tariffs on their goods. The Trump administration has responded by providing billions of dollars in aid to farmers hurt by the trade war, but the long-term impact on American agriculture remains uncertain. The decision to target these specific industries reflects the Trump administration's focus on protecting what it sees as critical sectors of the U.S. economy. However, critics argue that this approach is short-sighted and ignores the interconnectedness of the global economy. They contend that tariffs on inputs from one industry can have ripple effects throughout the economy, leading to higher prices for consumers and businesses alike. Section 5. The Economic Impact, Analyzing the Potential Consequences. The economic consequences of Trump's new tariffs are complex and far-reaching, with the potential to impact consumers, businesses, and the overall health of the global economy. One of the most immediate and visible impacts of tariffs is an increase in prices for consumers. When tariffs are imposed on imported goods, those higher costs are typically passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices. This can lead to inflation, as businesses and consumers alike face higher costs for a wide range of goods and services. In addition to higher prices, tariffs can also lead to job losses, particularly in industries that rely heavily on imported goods or that export a significant portion of their output. For example, tariffs on steel and aluminum have led to higher costs for U.S. manufacturers that use those materials, making them less competitive in the global marketplace and potentially leading to job losses. Similarly, retaliatory tariffs imposed by other countries on U.S. goods can harm American exporters, leading to lower sales and job losses in those industries. The overall impact of tariffs on employment is complex and depends on a variety of factors, including the specific tariffs imposed, the response of businesses and consumers, and the actions of other countries. Section 6. A Divided Nation, Examining the Arguments for and against the Tariffs. The Trump administration's use of tariffs as a tool of trade policy has sparked a heated debate in the United States, with proponents and opponents offering contrasting views on the potential benefits and drawbacks of this approach. Supporters of the tariffs argue that they are necessary to protect American jobs and industries from unfair foreign competition. They contend that decades of free trade agreements have led to the closure of American factories, the loss of manufacturing jobs, and a growing trade deficit. Tariffs, they argue, are a necessary corrective measure to level the playing field and bring back jobs to the United States. Opponents of the tariffs counter that they are nothing more than a tax on American consumers and businesses. They argue that tariffs will lead to higher prices for a wide range of goods, from cars and washing machines to food and clothing. These higher prices, they contend, will disproportionately harm low- and middle-income Americans who spend a larger share of their income on consumer goods. Moreover, opponents argue that tariffs will harm American businesses that rely on imported goods, making them less competitive and potentially leading to job losses. They also warn that tariffs could spark a trade war, as other countries retaliate with tariffs of their own, further harming the global economy. Section 7. Echoes of the Past, Trump's Trade Wars and the Legacy of His First Term. The Trump administration's aggressive use of tariffs is not without precedent. Throughout his first term in office, President Trump engaged in a series of trade disputes with several countries, most notably China. These trade wars, as they came to be known, were characterized by tit-for-tat tariffs, escalating tensions, and uncertainty about the future of global trade. The trade war with China, in particular, had a significant impact on the global economy, disrupting supply chains, raising prices for consumers, and fueling concerns about a slowdown in global growth. While the Trump administration ultimately reached a trade deal with China in early 2020, the agreement did little to address the underlying economic tensions between the world's two largest economies. Moreover, the tariffs imposed during the trade war remained largely in place, continuing to weigh on businesses and consumers. The Trump administration's legacy on trade is therefore a mixed one, marked by both successes and failures. While the administration succeeded in renegotiating NAFTA and securing some concessions from China, its aggressive use of tariffs also alienated allies, disrupted global trade, and contributed to economic uncertainty. Section 8. The road ahead. Uncertainties, potential retaliation, and the need for vigilance. As the Trump administration moves forward with its new tariff regime, a number of uncertainties remain about the ultimate impact of these policies. One key uncertainty is the potential for retaliation from other countries. When one country imposes tariffs on goods from another country, the targeted country often responds by imposing its own tariffs on goods from the first country. This tit-for-tat escalation of tariffs can quickly spiral out of control, leading to a trade war that harms both sides. Another uncertainty is the impact of tariffs on global supply chains. In today's interconnected global economy, many products are assembled using components sourced from multiple countries. Tariffs can disrupt these complex supply chains, leading to higher costs, delays, and shortages of goods. Finally, there is the question of how the Trump administration's tariff policies will be implemented and enforced. Past experience has shown that even well-intentioned trade policies can be undermined by corruption, loopholes, and unintended consequences. Section 9. Conclusion: Navigating the complex landscape of Trump's tariff policy. The Trump administration's use of tariffs as a tool of trade policy has significant implications for the U.S. economy and for the global trading system. While tariffs can be a legitimate tool for protecting domestic industries and addressing unfair trade practices, they can also lead to higher prices for consumers, retaliatory tariffs from trading partners, and disruptions to global supply chains. The ultimate impact of the Trump administration's tariff policies will depend on a variety of factors, including the specific tariffs imposed, the response of businesses and consumers, and the actions of other countries. As the global economy navigates this period of uncertainty, it is essential for policymakers, businesses, and consumers to stay informed about the potential consequences of tariffs and to advocate for policies that promote free and fair trade. The use of tariffs is a complex and often contentious issue, with no easy answers. It is important to approach this issue with a nuanced understanding of the potential benefits and drawbacks of tariffs, as well as the broader context of global trade relations.